Welcome back to In Pursuit 360. Yes, I have been away for a while, but now I am back. So let's talk about stresses or stressors in doing a police interview. So, yes, we're not going to specifically cover any one question or possible question. We're just going to talk about the ideas of the stress behind going in to take that interview, and maybe some ideas on how we can deal with it. All right, so let's get into it. All right, welcome back. So, we are going to talk about stress. Stress in an interview. What can you do about, or what can you do to help prepare for the stresses of going through an interview? Now, of course, I specialize in police interviews, right? But this is for any interview that you may have to go through. Um, I recently have switched my jobs. I'm no longer even in private security, although I am still in a security related field. And we're not going to get too much more into that. But I have been through several interviews lately for the job that I have taken and other jobs that I was considering. So even I, after giving all this advice on all these videos and being through multiple interviews in the past, I still get stressed and nervous. So this is something that's going to happen. I don't care how confident you are or what your personality is. There's going to be some part of you that is going to feel stress or nervous, or to put whatever name you want on it. But that feeling is naturally going to be there. So how do we deal with that? Well, in dealing with any kind of stress, whether you're dealing with the stress of an interview, the stress of something going on in your personal life, the stress of being a police officer out on the street and dealing with certain things every day. How you deal with this stress, they're very similar. So let's talk about physical fitness. So the condition of your body can actually be one of the very first things that you can do to help deal with stress, whether it be the stress of the interview, the stress of your job, the stress of daily life, the stress of something going on in your personal life. Um, so physical fitness. So I'm not talking about you got to be some big muscle bound person or that you have to be able to run a marathon or anything like that. But the idea of just keeping your body fit. They say one of the most healthy things that you can do is walk. So that whole thing about, oh, get 10,000 steps in a day and all that, that's really good. But you should really look at being able to walk and walk at a faster pace. Get yourself a quicker pace. Right now in the position I'm in, I get an hour lunch. So I get a half an hour to eat, and then I take that other half hour and I go out on a walk, and I keep up a good solid pace. I usually can get in about 1.25 miles within 30 minutes. Um, I haven't tried for the mile and a half yet. It's kind of hot outside, so I still have to go into work, so I don't get too sweaty. But I've quickened up that pace to get my steps in, to get moving, to get, food processing, to get the chemicals, moving around in my body and helping to deal with things that come up, right? Improving your blood pressure and your heart rate and all those things. All these things help with stress. So, physical fitness is the very first thing that you can do to help deal with stress in any interview. The second thing is going to be try to be prepared, which is part of what you're doing by watching these videos. Um, you know, Try to watch videos like this. Now, I think I've got a pretty good channel, so you can watch all of my videos, but go ahead and take some other, look at some other things that are out there, some other videos, some other people doing this. Again, whether you're applying for law enforcement or you're applying for something else, interview tips and techniques pretty well fit um, any career field, right? Now, when we start talking about scenario-based questions, then yes, they can be more aimed at a career field. Even IT can have scenario-based questions, or cybersecurity can have scenario-based questions. So law enforcement definitely has scenario-based questions, but the overall techniques in how to have a successful interview span all kinds of career fields. So try to be prepared. Sorry about that. Had an interruption. So we're talking about stress in interviews. We talked about how physical fitness can help you deal with stress. Now let's talk about the importance of practice. So you can watch videos like my videos, right? You can watch other people's videos out there. I'm encouraging you, please go watch as many interview videos as you possibly can to get different ideas, tips, tricks, things that are going to help you prepare. The more prepared you are, then the less stress you're going to feel. Now, are you going to feel stress? Yes, you cannot eliminate it. It's just not going to happen, but you can at least be prepared enough to reduce the amount of stress that you feel. So preparation is a big deal. Remember, there are different ways that you can prepare. You can study these videos. You can try to come up with some questions that you think that they may ask you and then handwrite your answers. So when you're writing it out and you're speaking it out at the same time, it kind of helps you remember or come up with ideas on how to answer things. You can have a friend ask you the questions, and then come up with the key points that you want to hit on these different types of questions, so that when you're talking to somebody as if it's an interview, then they can grade you. They can say, oh yeah, you got this, but you missed this one and this one. So practice with friends, practice with somebody, maybe a coworker or something like that, that maybe isn't a friend. Something that may invite a little bit of that intimidation feel, because if you talk with people, you kind of laugh, you joke, ha ha ha, yeah, I'm really comfortable with you, not a big deal. But if you pick a couple of people that know you and are willing to help you, but you all don't really know each other, it'll add that little bit of extra stress to help you be used to that. A lot of the people that I talk to with the Spartan Training Systems website is that when they get into the interview, they just panic. They forget what to say. They've practiced, they've thought about it, they've had these ideas on how they're going to answer this type of question, that kind of question. Then they get that question, and then in that moment, they just blank. They just absolutely blank. So get some different people to help you prepare, to help you um, go through these interview scenarios, so that it adds a little bit of that stress, right? So when we're on the range, when we train on the range, or when I used to train on the range, I don't do that anymore. But anyway, so I would do whatever I could to try to add stress, right? Add turning targets, no threat, threat, no threat, threat, or and then have it flip around the other way. You got a guy with his hands up, then you flip it around the other way, it's somebody with a gun. Flip it the other way, hands up, and the security officers would have to make decisions, right? It's adding stress, adding stress. How do you add stress to yourself so that you can help prepare for it? You need to know what it feels like. How are you going to handle that? So there you go. So you've got physical fitness, then you've got, preparation, ahead of time preparation. So things like practicing or watching videos and things like that. Then let's talk about the physical while you're in there. I had this question come up. What do you do with your hands? Somebody said, well, I tend to talk with my hands. Well, I said, well, I'm Italian. I tend to talk with my hands too. As you can see in even some of the videos, my hands will show up in the video. But it's not just an Italian thing. Some of it's nerves. Some of it is a way to emphasize, right? So you see what I did there? Pause, emphasize, right? Get the hands out there. So sometimes we do things with our hands that emphasize our answer or our story or what we're trying to say. As I go through my answer with steps, as I move each hand, showing the different steps. So is that completely appropriate in an interview? I'm not going to tell you it's wrong, but what I'm going to tell you is be mindful of how much of it you're doing. I told this one person, usually when I interview, both my hands are sitting on the desk. I usually will place one hand over the other. I try not to make fists, but I'll place one hand over the other. And every now and then I may do a little something like, like this, just to open my hands up to show that I'm open. I'm not a closed off person, but I'm open. I'm willing to discuss, or something like that. But be mindful. You don't want to, be. Well, then what I would do is I would go over here, and then I would go do this, and then I would, you don't want to do that, right? So a little little expression is okay. Be careful with that. So something you can physically do to help with that though is if they can't see your feet, you can always like kind of tap your toes a little bit under the table, or you can wiggle your toes inside your shoe, right? As long as you're not wearing like those shoes that come to a point and everything where your toes are all bunched up, which are very painful. I don't know how people wear those, but it's you wiggle your toes inside your shoes. So while you're sitting with your hands on the table, you know, if they can see your feet, just wiggle your toes a little bit, wiggle them. Just something somewhere to direct some of that nervous energy. This will help you, you know, direct that nervous energy and reduce some of that stress. It kind of lets it go somewhere else and then concentrate on your questions and your answers. So yeah, that's you know, the three big tips I can give you for dealing with stress in interviews. It's going to be there, so just know that you are going to experience some kind of stress while you are doing this interview, whether it be for a police department, IT, cybersecurity, take your pick, whatever job it may be. You're going to feel some kind of stress, especially if you care. If it's something that's important to you, you're going to feel some kind of not uncomfortableness, but you just call it stress, I guess, right? So you're going to feel that. So anyway, all right. So hey, I really appreciate you taking the time to watch. Keep coming back. I'm going to get going back into these videos again more and more. I kind of took a break for various other reasons. I'll make a separate video about that. It's really not anything anybody's really going to care about, so it'll probably only get about 12 views. But anyway, but I am back. SpartanTrainingSystems.com, SpartanTrainingSystems.com. There'll be a link in the description down below. You can get a 15-minute consult with me for free. And then if you want to, I also offer coaching services for a small monetary fee. And we can do some mock interviews and go over some questions or resume building or whatever else you may come up with. So again, that's SpartanTrainingSystems.com. I'll put the link down below. Yeah, other than that, hey, do me a favor, go ahead, hit that subscribe button, bell notification, let you know the next video is ready. Thumbs up, thumbs down if you have to, but if you're going to give me a thumbs down, do me a favor and tell me why. All right, so that's it for today. That's stress in interviews, right? Different things that you can do to help deal with that stress. I wish you the best of luck. We definitely need you out there on the street. We definitely need more law enforcement officers out there. We need good law enforcement officers out there. So in the meanwhile, be safe out there.